Hello and welcome. This is Darius Barazande, and welcome to our special Class 1.3 Understanding Soul Genius. We are going to be talking about what Soul Genius is and how to connect in to your own soul genius. And I always want to start with a big idea that is really important, that I am not your guru or a guru. I am only reporting what I have found true in my life. It's up to you to evaluate and question everything I say, and anything against your truth or your own beliefs. You need to see what fits for you. This is part of the authenticity and power of Soul Genius. And this module, and what we're going to be doing in future modules in this section, Heal, will only have an effect if you decide it will. So it takes courage, and the results that you get are your own choice. Now, I'm going to share the basis of a process that's allowed me to quickly heal success, money, and emotional blocks, and it's called the Freedom Process. But first, can I ask you a question? Would you try to play a flute like it's a violin and wonder why it's not playing beautiful music? This happens all the time, and this is how our education system and even our mind, if we don't train it correctly, work. And the goal of this module is to bring full understanding into your mind and energy field. So you have the truth completely about you and the knowledge about you that is complete. Now, we're going to share a new way of looking at formerly incomplete patterns. And the goal is liberation. And unlike traditional education or even self-growth, these changes can happen almost immediately. Now, one of the big premises of Soul Genius and the Circle is the uniqueness and the importance of you. One person that understood this is R. Buckminster Fuller, who said, "Never forget that you are one of a kind. Never forget that if there weren't any need for you in all your uniqueness to be on this earth, you wouldn't be here in the first place." For centuries, our entire model of humanity has told us what to do, how to think, and how to be. But instead, what about alignment to who you were truly created to be? So, who am I and how did I get here? Well, I had an ambush awakening. As a child, maybe like you, I've never felt at the time that I fit in. How many of you have ever felt that way? And one day, my mother was called to the school, and I was very excited because she got to be with my teacher. And my mother and I were told that I had to actually repeat kindergarten. And I remember beaming with excitement. And I ran out of the room and I told the first kid I saw. Can you imagine what he said? "Repeat kindergarten? You must be the stupidest kid in the world." And for the next 32 years, I tried to escape those words, and it almost killed me. Maybe you've managed to go a little higher in your life in different times, but something feels like it's always pulling you back. You fall down like a powerful force is pushing you back down. And see, I tried everything, but nothing worked. I became a hypnotist. I studied self-growth and personal development, read so many books from all of the different teachers and people in that field. At 37 years old, I was miserable. I had a career that I wasn't happy with. I was in a marriage that I was not fully connected with. And I realized that everything I created in my life didn't fit who I was. I was an attorney. I was writing books on real estate and teaching people about real estate. And I absolutely was stuck financially, emotionally, spiritually, and I disliked deeply what I was doing. Who was I really? I didn't know. How many of you can relate to this? Maybe that's why you're here. How did I cope? Well, I started riding motorcycles on the weekends and even some days, escaping work to go ride off-road motorcycles at a very high rate of speed. And the fear and adrenaline let me escape the sadness that I had been pushing down all those years. In those moments when I pushed a little farther, a little faster, a little harder, I felt peace. I felt something else besides the noise in my head. And as I came around this section one final time on a Friday at around 50 miles an hour, I didn't realize that point in the high grass that I couldn't see was covering something that would become my turning point. Far bigger and far more powerful than who I thought I was. At 50 miles an hour, I hit this point. I don't know what it was. And I remember realizing that something was wrong. I could feel the terror and fear shoot right through me. I went over the handlebars and knew that it was not going to be a situation that would be easy to recover from. It seemed like forever, but while I was in the air, going over the handlebars, I saw that little boy that was inside of me in kindergarten. I saw him also alone by himself on a soccer field at Camp Champions in 1980. I saw my parents at the time saddened and not able to understand why I died. But the worst thing, the most soul-sucking feeling, was this feeling that I had wasted this life. But I was taken out of that scene by the loudest crack, and my arm broke, and the motorcycle landed on top of me. I remember struggling for air as the heavy motorcycle compressed my chest. The rear wheel was turning at a high rate of speed, the throttle was pinned, and the hot engine exhaust was burning through my pants. But I couldn't feel my legs, they were numb. But what came next was the deepest soul-sucking regret. It was that feeling that I would die as one of those who never figured it out. But then something strange happened. I remember looking off to the side and saw this red bird sitting on a branch. And maybe you've been in those situations where even in the most chaotic moment, time almost slows down. And behind the bird, as it flew away, I saw the strangest thing I'd ever seen. It looked like floating crystal geometry. It looked like this. And it glowed in the afternoon sun. And suddenly I felt this warm glow of self-love, understanding, and alignment. And I felt this feeling in my heart that I'm here. I've got a chance, or another chance. I had found my choice point. I was very lucky to find someone there who took me in, and we called an ambulance, and my arm was healed. But something was different, because after that day, I started to see things that nobody else was seeing. Psychics have told me since that I broke through a perception veil. Questions, diagrams, understandings started to come in, almost like that sacred geometry symbol. And over the next couple months, I started to download new awarenesses. And within just 8 hours of understanding it fully, I had found my dream place to live in a new city. And I had been looking for months. Within 3 months, I had discovered my own full personal blueprint. I let go of the negative energy of the divorce that followed. I was able to love again. And as I stood in resonance with who I truly was, within 5 months, I had surpassed my income for the previous year. And as I slowly began to perfect it, life got better and better. About a year later or so, I earned $1 million+ in abundant exchange, living my gifts. So what's the secret? What really happened? Well, your soul genius, which is why you're here, is really like your own combination code to the life you were born to live. And because everyone has a soul genius, your soul genius is your own unique superpower. And it is the thing that brings you into alignment with who you are meant to be. Now, there's a few premises of soul genius that I want to talk about, and we're going to walk through these. The first one is that order and structure underlie all things. Nothing is an accident. You are not an accident. You have a purpose, a reason you are here. Murray Gell-Mann, a physicist who was way ahead of his time, shared this: everywhere beneath the world's confusion, there is an underlying order. And this order is found in the flower of life and other sacred geometric diagrams and shapes. The flower of life can be found in nearly all major religions around the world. It contains the literal patterns of creation. And the key word here is pattern. You see, there is a pattern to your life. There's a pattern to your best life, to your soul genius, to your superpower. And once you connect to your true resonance, everything changes. And Bohm, who is a quantum physicist, understood this, and you'll find this in Bohm's implicate order. The idea that everything is connected with everything else, and that any individual element, if we can understand it, could reveal quote unquote detailed information about every other element in the universe. Order and structure underlie all things in the universe. And as we look at the flower of life, there's some very interesting things that get revealed. For example, the flower of life structure forms the basis for music, and the distances between the spheres is identical to the distances between the tones and halftones in music. It is also identical to the cellular structure of the third embryonic division. And the same structure creates the human body and all of the energy systems as it progresses. And what's even more interesting is that the flower of life actually is found in ancient places. This is Leonardo da Vinci's drawings and representations of the flower of life. It is also found in ancient places like Turkey, Istar, India, the Temple of Osiris in Egypt, St. Magnus Cathedral in Kirkwall, right there. You see, this is symbolic of the flower of life. And even in Beijing, China, its ancient societies and cultures understood that something was bigger as a creative force. And the key point here I want to make very clear is the flower of life is not the answer or something that we worship or look at as the all-encompassing truth of understanding ourselves. It's only a signpost. It's a signpost that your life and soul genius is part of a grand design and a pattern to all things. It's a signpost in the universe among many other signposts. And throughout history, multi-thousand-year-old systems like the I Ching, Vedic astrology, sacred geometry, and alchemy have all revealed intricacies of order in the universe. Even the patterns of orbits, stars, galaxies, hurricanes have a sacred design or pattern. You can see this in the hurricane spiral. The infinite living web, which is what we're talking about with your own soul genius, has a pattern. From galaxies to sunflowers to spiraling plants to hurricanes to cacti and even to the nautilus shell. To think that we don't have a pattern to our life, to our purpose, is foolish. And to think that we are the only ones that have no pattern for our divine expression would be ridiculous. Now, recently I had to purchase a new garage door opener remote. The garage door did not open with the new remote I bought in the store. And you may know the answer why. Nevertheless, out of impulse, I pushed it again. And I pushed it again. And I pushed it even harder. I didn't understand at that moment why a standardized remote would not work for my garage door. I had matched up the numbers of the model of my garage door opener and this remote, and it should work. But when I opened up the remote, I realized that I had to align its internal code to the true reality code of the garage door. And many of you may have seen this. It's a little set of toggle switches within a garage door remote. Now, once I align this correctly and I match the codes, it works 100% every time, effortlessly. I just push the button. And once you find your own individual order or soul genius, every door that you truly want in your heart will open for you. But here's what disconnects us: a fragmented past. A fragmented past disconnects you from your soul genius and your truth. It turns on and turns off the wrong switches and creates something that I call a lesser ordered system. And because true wealth and abundance move always toward order and resonance to truth, this is very important. Now, a lot of people may say, well, what about those people that get money illegally, or they steal, or they do something bad? Lasting true wealth, not short term, not even wealth for 10 years or 20 years, but lasting true wealth. And I'm also speaking of the wealth of relationship, family, love, and deep fulfillment. The more out of truth we are, the less true wealth and order we can hold in our lives. And we can wind up in this situation being frustrated, upset, unhappy, and not knowing why. The answer in Soul Genius is love and gratitude. We're going to talk about it. This is your own personal grace state, or state of grace and order. And you've probably heard me talk about this. Your soul genius is found in this state of grace and order. This is where your divine pattern exists. Everything out of that state is a misperception or a distortion of that true divine state of grace and order. And most of us go through our life trying to figure out who we are, what we can do, who we can be from this state of imbalance. And here's a way to understand it. Your state of grace and order is right here in the middle, balanced. I call it time zero. It's a place and a state where you are not triggered or in a state where something is affecting your own energy field. Those lagging thoughts, those feelings of not being good enough, all of those exist on an energetic spectrum that is not connected to your true code, to your true soul genius. So if you feel that you are better than somebody, or maybe that you are not good enough, these thoughts, these ideas, these imprinted ways of seeing yourself or seeing the world or seeing others take you out of the realm of soul genius, and they put you in either T1 or what I call T-1. And T1 simply refers to the fact that you are feeling that you are better than you are. So it is a distortion of your true reality and ultimately your soul genius. And T-1 with the minus means that you may have a distortion that you are not good enough. And T0 or time zero is that state of 0 point or neutrality. And in that state of neutrality, you are in your grace state. If you've ever been in the flow, or you've ever been in a place of pure serendipity where you lose track of time, you are feeling just this connection to everything, everything is flowing, you're in the moment, there's no thoughts of good or bad or I can or I can't, and you are literally in what Rumi said, joyous tranquility. And what's interesting about this is that Rumi, the amazing Persian mystic, said that which is false troubles the heart, but truth brings joyous tranquility. So when we are in a state that we are feeling this joyous tranquility, we are in a state of truth. When we are feeling suffering, when we are feeling a state of not being good enough, or maybe being better, and so we raise our ego consciousness and we judge others, we are not in a state of truth. And when we get to that state of truth, we actually connect in to higher wisdom. This is one of the great secrets that I uncovered after that accident, was that that state is actually a doorway or connection to something called the superconscious, the higher mind, or the soul. This is the place of soul genius. This is the place where your blueprint or pattern comes and is made aware to you. And it is something you can connect to in many different ways. You may connect to it day to day. It may also trickle in and out through your subconscious mind while you are resting or while you're doing different things. A lot of people get ideas while taking a shower or doing daily errands, or maybe you ask for the answer and it comes in. The more you are in this state of equilibrium and knowing who you are of your full truth, the more this comes in. This liberation is love, gratitude, truth, and the state of grace and order. So here's some findings that I want to share with you, that the basis of what we're going to be doing in bringing you through this freedom process and moving you into liberation. And these are also the things that you want to work on to move into really living your soul genius, like I have discovered. The first finding is anything you do not resolve with a whole view, you will relive and repeat until you resolve it or live in grace because of it. So if we believe that something has been done to us and something has been taken away, and there is no way that we ever will receive something of benefit from that, then we are in an incomplete view of that situation, and we will relive that suffering over and over again. Now, this can be challenging based on the situation. It is not always simple. But for most of us, we need to see the whole view, and that is what the freedom process is all about. Finding number 2, thoughts balance to move you into equilibrium, or they imbalance and keep you on the extreme ends. So if you remember the T1 and T0 in this diagram here, T plus 1 here, we'll put T minus 1 here, and we'll put time 0 here. What moves us basically between these oscillations is our thoughts and what we bring into resolution through balance. And when we do, we connect into the realm of the heart, to love, to genius, to possibility, to contribution. We align to abundance. We connect in to our earth mission and our legacy. This is why starting this process with the freedom process is so important, because it will align everything else. Now, the third finding is that soul genius is most accessible at time 0, or truth. This is the space of full awareness, eternal truth, grace, understanding. And this is the process that we are going to walk through in the freedom process to get you there, so you begin to operate from that state. Finding number 4, alignment to this state creates pleasure. The lack of alignment creates pain. And if you look at this diagram, this person in the middle is in that state of grace. It doesn't mean that nothing bad has ever happened to her, or that nothing bad ever could happen, but she understands how to utilize this process, the freedom process, to bring her as much as possible back to this state as a natural way of being. Most people spend 90% of their time oscillating between here and here. And this is the realm of pure suffering. This is the realm of pure illusion. And the reason is that these switches have been turned on. Just like with me in kindergarten, they've been turned on and they've been running. So even if this person tries for a little while to stay in the grace state, she might be able to, which would be great. But then with this switch turned the way that it is, she goes right back to here. And this is what we may call a deep pattern or a blockage. The other thing that happens is when she tries to open up the life she was born to live, the life that was for her to experience her soul genius and contribution to the world, these codes are playing. These codes are emitting the frequency. These codes are not aligned to the life that is part of her soul genius. It is impossible to fully live that. So let's do this in this moment. We are going to be doing a small exercise, and in the next module, we'll do something a little more expansive. But just begin to practice this idea. Take an event in your life, maybe that's been a memory that disturbs you, and feel into it. And see what you're feeling right now about that memory. And that energy, whether you feel it right now or not, is like a switch. And that switch that's turned on keeps you from the frequency that your soul genius is resonating at. The frequency that your soul genius is aligned to. You see, what happened to me was I got into resonance with my soul genius. And in that soul genius path, there was an incredible life waiting for me. We want to find those energies that are creating disturbance, that are taking you out of resonance, and we want to bring you into resonance with your soul genius or personal grace state. Now, in the next module, we're going to walk you through discovering your soul genius values. And I want to share kind of where we're going in the soul genius circle with this and where it will ultimately lead, because it's super important. It's important because if we do this from the beginning, the rest of the process will flow very easily, even if you've been trying for years to understand what your earth mission is. And the first part of it is understanding what are your soul genius values. These will then come out. There'll be many of them. Some of them will be very strong, very much like trends and patterns that show up again and again. And some of them may just be values that you have that are aligned to your soul genius, but they're not as prevalent. They don't come up as much with as much frequency in your life and in your history. But there's going to be about 3 that really resonate. These are your soul genius, your pure superpowers. These are that distillation of those very powerful things that you are here to do. From that soul genius, we then begin to understand the earth mission. We begin to really get what is it that from that soul genius you are here to do. And that earth mission is going to have a checklist of things that really embody an earth mission, because it has to also be able to abundantly allow you to receive as much as abundantly give. And then from there, we want to look at what is your genius vehicle? What is your 6th wave vehicle in these times of change, in these times of rapidly accelerating technology and consciousness? What is the vehicle that your soul genius is going to occupy in that earth mission with the most joy, fulfillment, and natural ability that you have? And many greats have had a vehicle. Steve Jobs was an inventor. That was his genius vehicle. Oprah Winfrey, many of you know, a messenger. Very clearly, that's her genius vehicle. If she had tried to be an inventor, it wouldn't work. Here is Mr. Bezos of Amazon. He's a connector, not a messenger, not even an inventor, but a connector who uses technologies, ideas, personality to bring together systems so that something new is created. There's a conductor, very much like in an orchestra, who is able to actually conduct many different things at once and see them operate and bring value by doing that. And then there's you. And there are other types that we're going to be talking about. We are going to be discovering it and taking you through this so you understand how this works for you. And I want to make a note on some of these people. I don't endorse everything they do, and I'm not into star worship or celebrity worship. The only reason that I choose these people is because, number one, they are very quote unquote successful monetarily and also very well known in society. And the reason I believe they are is that they are very, very powerful archetypes for those vehicles that they occupy. And the truth about where we're going is that there will be thousands of Jeff Bezoses, hundreds of thousands of people like Oprah, hundreds of thousands, millions of inventors, millions of conductors, and many others. This is where we are moving in the sixth wave. And it's up to you and me as we work together to find this for you. All right, in the next lesson, we are going to move forward with going in to discovering your soul genius. And please take a moment right now and look to the left of your screen and find the Discuss tab and post on the social site the number one idea, understanding, or thing you learned from this presentation. How did it make you think? Do you have a question? Or is there something that you want to share with the rest of the social community? All right, we'll see you on the next session.